NTA International News.
President Muhammadu Buhari describes 2017 Nigerian Army Small Arms Championship in Sambisa Forest as testimony of success in anti-terrorism campaign. Nigeria and Poland to strengthen bilateral ties towards economic diversification. Cases of fake news worry media practitioners as they harp on need for authenticity of information sources before publication. Thanks for joining us on the news on NTA International. I am Lydia Bassi. The hosting of the 2017 NASAC in Sambisa Forest is a further testimony in the high level of success recorded in the fight against insurgency in the Northeast. President Muhammadu Buhari said this in a message at the closing ceremony of the 2017 Nigerian Army Small Arms Championship in Sambisa Forest, Borno State. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
It is a firepower demonstration at the finals of the 2017 Nigerian Army Small Arms Championship in Sambisa Forest. The week-long competition among the 9th Division of the Nigerian Army is aimed at sharpening the marksmanship of Army personnel and an enabling environment for training of troops.
The staging of the Nigerian Army Small Arms Competition in Sambisa Forest also reinforced the fact that normalcy had been restored in Borno State and indeed the Northeast in general.
While commending participants for the improvement in standards compared to the last championship 7 years ago in Jaji, Kaduna State, the Army Chief mandated the Theater Command to flush out the remnants of Boko Haram in few weeks.
Camp Zero has followed and will never be allowed to be reoccupied by these Boko Haram terrorists.
In the past, the entire Sambisa Forest was a restricted area due to the intensity of the terrorist activities. The mere mention of Sambisa Forest in the past induced fear to the civilians and even to some military personnel.
Great pleasure for me to be here in Sambisa Forest. Somewhere that I had always had is the headquarters of Boko Haram, the place of danger. It shows you how much progress the Nigerian military have had in pushing back Boko Haram.
It's a useful way of maintaining an active military presence around an area that has obviously been cleared by the Nigerian military.
I have to thank the Commander-in-Chief and the President of Nigeria, and I have to thank the gallant members of the armed forces.
7th Division Maiduguri, the host of the event, emerged winners of the 2017 Nigerian Army Small Arms Championship. From Sambisa Forest, Borno State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Still on security, 2 suspected Boko Haram terrorists who specialize in carrying out surveillance for the insurgent group around Kareto and Dangote villages were apprehended by troops of 158 Force Battalion of 5 Brigade Nigerian Army. Director Army Public Relations Brigadier General Sani Kukasheka Usman in a statement said preliminary investigation shows that the apprehended spies were on a reconnaissance mission to facilitate possible attack on the communities by Boko Haram terrorists. Similarly, one Bulama Kailani Mohammed Metele from Tumbumbera, a confessed Boko Haram terrorist belonging to Mama Noor's faction of the terrorist group under the leadership of Abu Mustafa, apparently tired of the lies of his commanders, surrendered himself to troops of 145 Task Force Battalion, 5 Brigade troops at Damasak. It has been confirmed that the surrendered suspect Bulama Kailani Mohammed Metele was a high-profile terrorist as he is at serial number 253 on the Nigerian Army's wanted Boko Haram terrorist roster produced recently. He is currently undergoing further interrogation. The Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, says the Development Bank of Nigeria, DBN, is designed to mobilize capital and provide sustainable financing for small and medium enterprises to thrive in the country. Unveiling the Managing Director of the bank, Tony Okpanachi, to the media, the Minister assured the Development Finance Institution, a wholesale bank, will be a low-risk lender to microfinance banks devoid of government interference. Details with Leah Katong Babatunde.
Globally, Small and medium enterprises have been the bedrock of strong economies, controlling huge employment opportunities across sectors. SMEs is reported to constitute 45% of Nigeria's GDP, but lack of access to credit remains a major drawback to the viability of this very important sector. Kemi Adeosun, the Minister of Finance, says government is building on the foundation it met on ground to see the Development Bank of Nigeria (DBN) deliver on its mandate and has enjoyed multilateral support aimed at bringing down costs of delivery in SMEs.
That sector have lower capital, they have higher costs, and yet they're surviving. So if we're able to give them cheaper money, longer term money, better access to money, they can really grow, and they are the engine of the economy.
The Development Bank is not sector-specific and will mobilize capital through equity and reinvestment. It currently has $1.3 billion for disbursement, with a target of improving financial inclusion, job creation, female participation and capacity building, among others, in the economy.
With the kind of competition we're going to create within the participating financial institutions, we ensure that the price, eventual pricing to the beneficiaries is going to be very, very, very competitive for them, so that it will be affordable to be able to reach out and then become profitable as they run their businesses.
The financial institution seeks to promote sustainable growth, moderate risk, and drive revenue generation through the provision of longer tenure credits at attractive rates to the public. In Abuja, Lekatung Babatunde, NTA News.
As part of new appointments approved by government agencies and parastatals by President Muhammadu Buhari on March 31, 2017, Mr. Folorunsho Koka is a new Director General for Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, NTDC, while Mr. Adedayo Thomas is the Executive Director of the National Film and Video Censors Board. A statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity indicates that this corrects the earlier announcement that Mr. Koka is of the National Film and Video Censors Board. Professional media practitioners have been strongly advised to cross-check sources of information for authenticity and accuracy before disseminating their messages. This came up at the workshop on worrying cases of fake news and demands of availing journalism in the post-truth era by the Association of Communication Scholars and Professionals in Nigeria, North Central Zone. Basi Taipang reports.
The issue of fake news and its impacts on the society has created concern in most local and international discourse. Subsequently, professionals and stakeholders in the media industry came together in Abuja to look beyond who should be blamed to finding remedies to fake news publication.
When you have a story that somebody sits down and concocts and does not meet any standard of verification, it is fake news.
If you just say, oh, well, it's fake news, it can continue. At some point, a world war could occur because of fake news.
It's the fallout of the advance in media and communication technology. So you have a new generation of young people who have to deal with this challenge.
Discussants at the forum, including NTA Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, who was represented by Deputy Director News, Ima Okondo, stressed the need for the mainstream journalists to reclaim the dignity of their profession.
We must be circumspect to what we do or what we take from them, but to make sure that the public is given what is beneficial to them and what is real.
Where are the gatekeepers? Gatekeeping is a very serious function in the media environment.
They generally advise professionals to always cross-check the source of their information, especially on the social media, before sending it out, stressing that once a news item goes viral, damage caused can never be repaired. Basi Taipang, NTA News.
The Federal High Court sitting in Uyo has struck out a motion for stay of execution of its earlier judgment, which ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to withdraw the certificate of return it issued to Senator Basi Albert. Clement Barikwi has an update on the situation.
during the PDP primaries of December 2015. It subsequently ordered that Basietin be issued with certificate of return by INEC as the senator for Akwabom North-East Senatorial District, and ordered that the first defendant had gone to the same court seeking for a stay of execution. The presiding judge, Justice Fatou Riman, ruled that judicial procedure is sacred, and since the matter is already before the Court of Appeal, he has no jurisdiction to entertain the case, and awarded the sum of 50,000 naira against the applicants.
It is only the Court of Appeal that can now consider any application whatsoever as from the 10th of March 2017.
Luckily, we had filed a similar motion. In fact, the motion at the Court of Appeal is for a mandatory injunction.
The duty of the party in this circumstance to come forward to let the courts, and in fact the world, know. Incidentally, the world knows who the candidates of the party in that.
Uyo, Clement Barikui, NTA News.
Additional 1,500 youths have been engaged by the Nasarawa State government under its youth empowerment scheme to get them off the streets and advise on youth restiveness. Governor Umaru Tanko Al-Makura says the youths will be deployed to all local government areas in the state for community services. Joshua Jito completes the report.
Introduced in 2014, the Nasarawa Youth Empowerment Scheme is government's deliberate move to engage youths in meaningful ventures, as so far 3,000 youths have been employed. In all, 1,500 youths have been trained as traffic marshals, security watchers, and sanitary inspectors. In addition to the 3 statutory areas, some of the youths will be deployed to supervise and guard public facilities against vendors, as well as report their state of condition to relevant authorities. So far, the youths have been trained in collaboration with other paramilitary agencies in order to equip them with requisite skills and knowledge to discharge their duties.
We are being very, very careful in our approach towards providing these services, given the fact that these services are supposed to be complementary to the statutory services that are being rendered by institutions that are constitutionally created to provide security services.
In addition to the scheme, the state government also set up skills acquisition centers across the 3 senatorial districts of the state, while plans are on the way to establish entrepreneurship center in Lafia in conjunction with the Institute for Technical Education of Singapore. In Kefi, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
You are watching the news on NTA International. More news after this timeout. Don't go away.
100% Henshaw Production specially invites you to the movie sometime in September, directed by Iyara Emmanuel DGN. Chairman, Mr. Donald Duke, former governor, Cross River State. Chief host, Henshaw Emmanuel. Date, 2nd April 2017, World Autism Awareness Day. Venue, Silverbird Cinema, Abuja. Time, 5 p.m. Red Carpet, 6 p.m. Main event. For inquiries, call Ayaba on 003-592-7275 or Henshaw 0018-331-3357.
NTA International News.
Thanks for being there. Family is said to be the bedrock of any society. Anything that affects it affects the nation. This was a review of an author, Julie Omofonia, at the launch of one of her books titled Why I Didn't Quit My Marriage. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday has the details.
Home is described as the first school of life where a child is tutored. And when the home fails to live to expectation, such individuals end up exhibiting some questionable personality traits or character flaws.
I thought of quitting. I even attempted committing suicide.
The author, Julie Onowelna, who said her marriage was saved by the grace of God, explained that her piece of work in the 151-page book is to save the marriages of others from crumbling.
No marriage is perfect.
The book reviewer, a licensed marriage counselor, Lawrence Obishaki, and other couples took turn to share their experiences and also encourage themselves on how to ensure stability at home based on the content of the book.
The family must return to the values. The values, the Nigerian value is good, north or south, Christian or Muslim. The fear of God, respect for elders, the traditions of our people that will come together, will negotiate.
They should not quit. Quitters don't win. It's only losers that quit. They should hold on to God. Find out why God instituted marriage. What are their own responsibilities towards the marriage? Marriage is like a school. You must put in efforts to make it to work.
Julie Onowiana is an author of 13 books. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Over now to Uche Mwizu for highlights of events that made headlines in the week on our Week in Review segment of the news.
It's my pleasure to have you join me on the review of another exciting week. The presidential villa played host to critical stakeholders who President Muhammadu Buhari engaged on issues that will enhance nation building. Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Ibok Ete-Ibas was one of the guests. He was challenged to ensure the safety of national coastline.
I think a lot is being done by the Navy to contain the menace of pirates.
Minister of Defense Masood Dan Ali was next, and he reaffirmed commitment to bring the leader of the Boko Haram terrorist group to justice. A stride United Nations Secretary of State Rex Tillerson commended at the summit on global coalition working to defeat ISIS. Another visitor at the State House was the Comptroller General of Customs Service Hamid Ali. At the Anti-Corruption Forum in Paris, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo advocated united action in winning the war against corruption. Back home, the fight against corruption took the Senate President Bukola Saraki and Senator Dino Melaye before the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges to defend various allegations leveled against them. Meanwhile, the Senate suspended former Majority Leader Ali Ndome for 6 months over motion on certificate scandal. And the bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act 2010 scaled second reading at the House of Representatives. The bill seeks, among other things, to provide that in event of death of a presidential or governorship candidate, the running mate shall replace the candidates. The Federal Executive Council in the outgoing week took measures that would strengthen relationships between the executive and the legislature for sustainable growth and development of the country.
It is a continuous struggle balancing between the executive and the legislative, because each of them are creations of the law. And we must strive at all times to ensure that there's that balance and there's that amity and there's that smooth relationship.
Meanwhile, President Buhari approved new appointments into the executive management of some government agencies and parastatals. Nigeria continued to dialogue on water use and license regulations, which it said is key in achieving effective water governance in the country. Turning to agriculture, Nigeria government and the African Development Bank are set to provide $200 million to teeming youths to boost agriculture. And the federal government plans to launch family support program aimed at eradicating poverty, hunger and malnutrition among farming communities under the Green Alternative Program. On health, 116 million children across Africa will be on queue for polio immunization as regional emergency outbreak response intensifies, as public health agencies in Nigeria continued coordinated response towards the containment of the outbreak of cerebrospinal meningitis, which has claimed several lives. The outgoing week witnessed the first national policy dialogue on strategy for better service delivery in the country.
There must be shared responsibility, accountability, and synergy in the public service structure that is charged with the responsibility of implementing it.
The ambassador of the Royal Embassy of Saudi Arabia, Fahad bin Abdullah, bid farewell to Nigeria, and the British government triggered Article 50 to kickstart negotiations on the country's exit from the European Union. On the world of sports, Nigeria Football League got assurance of government support. On this sporting note, we end this segment of the news. I am Uche Huizu. It's back to you, Lydia, for the continuation of the news.
Thanks, Uche. Over 15 million Nigerians are said to be residing outside the country where they have migrated to in search of greener pastures. How these diaspora's exploits can be harnessed in meaningful socio-economic development of the country is the thrust of the lecture delivered by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Matters, Abike Dabiri-Erewa in Lagos. Jane Ojukwu reports.
Many Nigerians in the diaspora are making positive impact in their chosen fields of endeavor, thereby assisting in rewriting the story of Nigeria to the outside world. According to statistics, over $35 billion was remitted to Nigeria in 2016 by Nigerians living abroad. This brings to the fore the huge potential that exists among the diasporans, which could be properly harnessed through the right synergies. Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa disclosed that plans are rife towards instituting a Diaspora Commission that will be better equipped to handle the affairs of Nigerians in the diaspora.
The bill is with the National Assembly, it's been passed by the House of Representatives, is now on the floor of the Senate. So hopefully the Senate will concur with the House and pass the Diaspora Commission bill.
If approved, the Commission is expected to handle the numerous challenges of Nigerians living abroad.
We talk about when we come back home, they don't integrate, there are bureaucratic bottlenecks, there are issues of doing businesses in Nigeria. You want to spend 2 weeks, whatever you came for, you cannot even process the document within 2 weeks. You need a one-stop agency. You need a body to deal with diaspora matters. 25 countries have full-fledged ministries for the diaspora. Having a commission will be for the progress and development of Nigeria.
Chairman Island Club Oladipo Okpesheyi, SAN, solicited that voting rights be granted Nigerians in the diaspora, considering their contribution to the national economy. The club later honored their August visitor with a plaque. In Lagos, Jane Ojukwu, NTA News.
Nigeria and Poland are working towards developing stronger bilateral ties. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema, who recently visited Poland for discussion, said he was extremely impressed by the economic development of Poland, a country that came out of communist rule only 28 years ago. Onyema noted that Nigeria, an oil-producing and exporting nation, which has been hit badly by a drop in oil prices, is eager to diversify from a mono economy and is looking forward to making Poland one of its new partners. Addressing a joint press briefing together with his Polish counterpart, Witold Kowski, Onyema said security, military equipment and training, agriculture, manufacturing and energy are areas of possible cooperation with a Central European country, as Poland produces the same products with same quality as the leading countries in Europe, but at much cheaper costs. A binational commission is also expected to be established to institutionalize dialogue between Nigeria and Poland. Time to surf around the globe with some stories making the rounds. Obiageli Ugoke has that package.
South Africa's new Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba has said there is need to radically transform the South African economy while pledging to maintain fiscal stability. Gigaba also said during a news conference that he is committed to protecting South Africa's cherished investment-grade credit ratings, which analysts have said are threatened after the removal of his predecessor, Pravin Gordhan. President Jacob Zuma on Saturday spoke about his cabinet's commitment to advance radical socio-economic transformation at the launch of a housing project in his home province of KwaZulu-Natal. And in Paraguay, demonstrators have set fire to the country's Congress amid violent protest against a bill that would let the president seek re-election. The head of the main opposition party say the country's 1992 constitution, introduced after 35 years of dictatorship, limits the president to a single 5-year term. But sitting President Horacio Cartes is trying to remove the restriction and run for re-election. Protesters were photographed smashing in windows of the Congress building Friday night, and they set fire to the interior. Police used rubber bullets and water cannons to disperse the crowd. Local media reported that dozens of people have been injured, including protesters, politicians, and police officers. A young man was reported dead, but the police is yet to confirm this. Meanwhile, Venezuela's authorities have urged the Supreme Court to reconsider a ruling stripping Congress of its powers, which critics have called a coup. Speaking after a high-level meeting called to discuss the move, the vice president said the review was needed to maintain institutional stability. Senior opposition leader Freddy Guevara urged supporters to continue the fight for freedom, and they held a new protest in the capital, Caracas, Saturday. Obiageli Ugoke, NTA News.
Before we go, a quick check on Sunday's weather prospect in Nigeria and some world cities.